Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, The Wake Up, where I share my personal experience with alcohol, talk about why I decided to quit alcohol, and what my breaking point was, what my plan is, how it's been going. If you haven't been watching or tuning in to my previous videos the last 5 weeks, so initially I did a wean off period, a plan that I was personally comfortable with, that I came up with to help me start the process of quitting and taking back control of my life from alcohol. So I did that for the first few weeks where I had an allowance day during the week, and then a couple allowance days where I was limited on the amount of beers that I could have on the weekends. So I've shared my experience in my previous videos. If you haven't watched them, go back, check those out. But what I'm doing today is another update for the week. Today is Tuesday, September 9th, and this marks 15 days into my 30 days of being alcohol free. So I'm halfway through the 30 days, which is awesome. So I just want to get into a few things here, some new things that I'm realizing and experiencing, and how I'm dealing with that, and then where I'm at currently. Also, moving forward in the future, how it's going to be. So, one of the things that I dealt with this week was, dealing with situations that would normally include alcohol or beer, and how I'm dealing with that. So, one of the things was going back, like, I think I mentioned in my previous videos that, there's usually a bi-weekly, every other Friday hangout at my brother's house with some friends, and normally, there'd be beers there. So we hadn't done that in the past month or so, a little over a month, because my brother's been really busy at work, but he took the day off this past Friday. So went over there with him, another buddy of mine, and another buddy of mine that doesn't drink either. And so it was funny, we both showed up with non-alcoholic Coronas, and we were able to just hang out, have a good time, watch the Giants game, and we were cheersing our non-alcoholic Coronas, and talking about that, and just getting along and having fun. So that was good. But the other thing that happened too is I'm a football fan, so I'm a 49ers fan. And I know a lot of you guys out there, you have different things, events, or things that you used to do, or, things you would watch with friends or get together with friends. And, it would be a normal thing to just drink during those things, and football is certainly one of those for me. I'd always enjoyed having some beers while watching my Niners play. We'd always get together on Monday Night Football, which I'm going to get into in a minute here too. But anyway, so football started. So, normally I would get together with my brother, some friends, and stuff like that. And we'd, at my brother's house, and we would watch the game, barbecue, and, drink. This week was a little different. Everybody was kind of busy doing their own thing. I was able to spend that time with my girlfriend, and we actually went out to a bar and watched the game and had a good time. We were at the bar. She even asked me, "Are you feeling, like you want a beer?" And I was like, you know what, not really. I'm okay with having my zero beers. It was no big deal. I was still able to cheer, support my team, watch a nice win, enjoy the day, and have just a few of those zero beers, and it was absolutely fine. The next day, on Monday, which was yesterday, went out to the local bar here, because that's normally what I would do, is go for Monday Night Football. We get together with a group and have food, and there's heavy discounts on the alcohol or the beer during the game. So normally when I was drinking, it would almost be kind of like, well, because it's so discounted, how much can we drink during the game and receive that discount? Whatever, stupid. But anyway, went and watched the game with the guys, and everybody there is very supportive. My local bar, everybody's really cool, very supportive. So they were doing their normal thing. I was kicking back, having a few of the zero beers, and enjoyed the game. So it's just getting easier for me. If you can make it through your initial plan, if you can get through those harder days, which is really just mainly the first week. The first week is really all you really got to get through. Once you make it through that, it's just staying committed and focused, staying true to yourself and your plan, remembering why you're doing it, remembering why you want to stay sober or get sober and have control back over your life from alcohol. That's really all it takes. But that first week is the hardest. Once you get past the first week, it just continues to get easier and easier, especially if you set it up the way I did, where you gave yourself a break, you had a wean off plan, you made it through, you saw you can do that, you could stick to it, build your confidence up, and then go for it, as far as staying alcohol free. So some other things too that I noticed, or, am seeing, that how alcohol had control on my life. Like, as you move through into sobriety, you can kind of start to notice things more and more that you didn't realize before that alcohol was affecting, right? So for me, one of the things that I realized this week was alcohol was like a crutch or an excuse a lot of times to slack off or to not do things, right? A lot of my professional career and life has been kind of more independent work. I've been in sales pretty much my whole life. A lot of times it's been 1099 commission sales. So able to make my own schedule, make my own decisions, choices, and things of that sort. So, in sales, it can be pretty stressful sometimes. You have your really high highs when you're kicking butt and getting those sales, and you got some lows, so it was really easy on those lows to say, use alcohol as an excuse or a crutch. Like, oh, I don't want to go and work today because I'm hungover. Or you could be at work, you could be having a hard day, and you cut your day short because you're like, whatever, this is bull crap. I'm just going to go have some beers, So it was that, so I said it before, alcohol can hinder you. And that's another way that I see that it would hinder, because just as an example. So on Saturday, I went out to work. I had my day pretty stacked. I had 4 appointments starting from 9 a.m., going throughout the day, with the last one being at 4 p.m. So I had gone to my first appointment. It went really well. I ended up getting them, to do the credit check and agree to get the system from me. But however, they didn't pass credit. So obviously nothing I can do there. They just didn't pass the credit check. Obviously they wanted it. I felt kind of bad for them because they really wanted to get clean water in their home. But I had to walk away from that one. So then the next appointment I go to was a no-show. So went to the door, called them. They didn't answer. So that was a bunk. Then the next one was, what was it? I got them to qualify. So they qualified on the credit check. But for some reason, they just didn't want to nail down an install date for the system. They wouldn't give me the reason why didn't want to do it. They said they just wanted to talk and, all of that. So left that house without a solid sale. Next one after that, I ended up selling it again. So 3 in a row, but then this one was another bad credit. So not so good luck that day. And I was starting to feel a little bit down. And then the 4 o'clock appointment rolls around and it was another no-show. So I had already been out and about since 9, I left the house at like 8 in the morning, and it's now 4 p.m. I've gone through all these appointments, and at that point I kind of did want to give up. And not that the thought of alcohol crept into my mind. I mean, maybe it did just a little bit, but I think that's what made me realize what was happening, right? And I was just like, oh, wow, because in the past, when I was feeling this way because of the results I've had for the day, I would have thought, whatever, I put in a good day. I'm just going to go home and, get some beers and forget about it. Right. But instead of that, I was like, no, I still got some time out here. So I went into my territory and I started knocking some doors. And the very first door that I hit, the homeowner answers. And he had a water purification system for 6 years, but hadn't had it tested. So I said, well, let me test it, see where we're at with it. Appointment, boom. So I set that appointment up. I continued to knock. I went to the very next door, no answer. The very next door after that, got an answer. Very nice gentleman. Said he's had a system for 24 years, but not sure how it's working. So I said, well, let me test it for you. Set that appointment. So after that, I was like, okay, that's stacked. All right. So I went to the first one, tested everything for him. And it was clear. So his system was still good. So obviously walked away from that one, and then went to the last one, and it was terrible. Their water was really bad. The system wasn't doing anything for him. So I was able to get them qualified and got them installed yesterday, or no, on Sunday. So instead of getting down on myself like I would have in the past and letting alcohol be an excuse or a crutch or a motivation to leave, I didn't have that anymore. And I was able to identify that and say, nope, I'm going to push through and keep going. And I, made something out of the day and made some good money for the day. And I was able to help a nice couple out with getting, better and healthier water in their home. So, like I said, just the alcohol can be an excuse or a crutch to limit you or hinder you. If I had been drinking, I honestly don't know. And I really believe that I probably would have just left after that last one at 4 and not continued, and just, missed out on that opportunity, and that's in other areas too. You can always, if you've ever been, addicted to something or alcohol, you'll find yourself using it as that crutch or that excuse all the time, and all it does is, like I say, in the past, mask things and, stop you from reaching your full potential, in any kind of activity, that you're doing, or, it allows you to have an out or a scapegoat to blame whatever circumstance on, So that's something that I realized through this last week, and I'm very proud of myself for picking up on it and realizing it, and then executing differently than I would have. So very proud of myself there. And so after this week, going through the newer challenges like the football and things of that, I made it through with flying colors. Each week that goes by, it just gets easier and easier. Cravings and thoughts are less and less as you go. I really feel like I have control back of my life, feel back in control of alcohol. Don't feel like I need it on a regular basis like I had before. And I feel just all around healthier. I feel stronger. I feel more accomplished, focused. These are all the good things that come from being in control and not being a slave, to something like beer, hard alcohol, or alcohol in general, right? So to you guys out there that are struggling with it, or maybe thinking of being sober a try, I'd say do it. It's just going to be nothing but good and beneficial for you in the long run. Your health, your mental health, your relationships, your money, everything just is going to get a little bit better as you go and as you continue, But like I said, have a plan. When you start, feel good. You need to feel good about it. You've got to say, okay, I know this is my plan. I feel comfortable with it. I know I can do this step by step. And as I go, I can adjust. It doesn't have to be perfect out the gates. That's why I talk about not having so much pressure. When you're going through a sobriety journey, you may have points where it gets really hard for you, and you may slip up. A slip up's not a big deal. You know what I mean? If it happens, it happens. You just adjust and you move forward again. You know what I mean? It's one day. That's all. And you just got to take it a day at a time. That's what I've been doing. It's been really, really working for me. If you are somebody out there that's going through it too, I'm proud of you. Keep going. It gets easier every single day, every single week that goes by. It gets easier and easier, and life just gets better and better. So I hope my videos do continue to help you guys. If you got something valuable out of it, if something helped you, please shout it out in the comments. Hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. I've got a whole nother half of this 30 days. I'm going to continue to do these weekly updates and moving on beyond the 30 days of where I'm at, if I chose to be a moderate drinker here and there or not, or stay sober. So I'm going to be continuing to update moving forward on the channel too. Like I said, I'm going to be doing other challenges. My next one I mentioned before is going to be dealing with my other habit, which is smoking. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be coming soon. I'm preparing for that. So But anyway, I appreciate all you guys watching, being a part of my journey as well. I'll, like I said, continue to update and, you know, hopefully help more people get on the road to recovery and sobriety. So appreciate you guys again. I'll be back next week with another update. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.